Okay, so this is one of those songs I want to talk about before I play it. Great song by a great Canadian band, but here's my point. I'm not sure if this touches a chord with any of you listeners, but have you ever had a song that you enjoyed and then you came to re-enjoy it because you heard it differently? Like it might be, in this case, it was the same band just doing a different version. And it's kind of like, well, that's been very popular the last decade or so, like bands going on and doing like an acoustic only night recording, And so then we hear their songs done by them differently. And, I got to tell you something, because most songs are actually written by some guitarist or piano player for the most part. But when they're written by a guitarist, he's usually playing on his acoustic guitar. So we're actually, when we hear some of the acoustic versions of songs, we're hearing them as they were originally created. And then, whatever the demand was or the image was for the band or what the producer director suggested or the record company, they turned it more often than not into like rock songs. But there's some beautiful stuff out there. And so I just say that sometimes you rediscover a song, and that happened to me with this one. And it was one of my first times that I rediscovered a song, because back in the 60s when this was out, like, boy, I'm dating myself, but back in the 60s, it was not like today where, you go on YouTube and you type in any song and there's like 5,700 versions of it, and anything from punk rock to folk rock is there, and operetta or whatever. Sometimes the two cellos will pick it up. My point being is that it didn't exist back in the 60s. So when all of a sudden you heard a song and then you got to hear a second version of it, that was pretty cool. And so there was this really awesome rock song, and I loved it. It was like the summer of I'm guessing here, but I'm thinking like the summer of like 68. No, later than that. No, when this came out, I was already living on the go-kart track. So probably 1970. And then all of a sudden, the LP came out. It was, I could still picture the band sitting like in this really neat dark covered LP. And I played every song on that. But it was back in the days when you played 1 through 5 and then 6 through 12 or whatever it was. And the opening song for the LP went like this. American woman, gonna mess your mind. Mess your mind. American woman gonna mess your mind. American woman gonna mess your mind. I say A-M-E-R-I-C. American woman gonna mess your mind. 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 American woman, stay away from me. American woman, mama, let me be. Don't come around hanging around my door. Don't wanna see your face no more. I got more important things to do. Spend my time growing old with you. Now, woman, stay away from me. American American woman, get away from me. American woman, mama, let me be. Don't come around knocking down my door. Don't wanna see your face no more. Color lights can hypnotize, sparkle someone else's eyes. Now, woman, said get away. American woman, listen what I say. Hey, 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 yeah. Go, gotta get away now. Go, go, go. I'm gonna leave you, woman. I'm gonna leave you, woman. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. You're no good for me. I'm no good for you. I'm gonna look you right in the eye. Tell you what I'm gonna do. You know I'm gonna leave. You know I'm gonna go. You know I'm gonna leave. You know I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave you, woman. Leave you, woman. Leave you, woman. Leave you, woman. Goodbye, American woman. Goodbye, American woman. You're no good for me. You're no good for me. American woman, it's your mind. American woman, she's messed your mind. Bye bye. Bye bye. Okay, I don't know about for you, but for me, that was fun. I listened to it. I enjoyed it. I got to tell you, as you're listening to it, snap your fingers or tap on the table or get up and dance. But man, it was a great song. The Guess Who. But I need to go on record for one thing, in case there's somebody else out there who knows sort of a bunch of music trivia as much as I know. And that is that this song, I was alluding to that songs are more often than not created acoustically, on the piano or on the guitar. The story behind this one, I do know the fact of what happened. They were playing down in the States, and this is in the early stages of the band. This is a true story. They were in the early stages of the band, and they were just bumming out. They were down in the States. Nobody knew them. Nobody was interested in them. And so it was pretty boring sort of first set. They went outside, and Burton he had started drinking quite a bit, and he was starting to get pretty pissed, and he was really, he was in pardon my expression, he was in a fucking bad mood. Anyways, so much so that the reason this riff starts the song, dun, 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 the way the real rock version goes. So what it was is the band, or the three of them, had come back to the stage. It was time to play. And they were waiting, and there was no Burton to be found, because he was getting pretty pissed drunk, and he was pissed off, and they weren't doing very well that night. Anyways, Randy, just to kind of, the crowd's wondering what the hell's going on now. So Randy starts to play that riff. Dum dum da 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 dum 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 dum, and the bass and the drums kick in, and then he's even doing like the solo bit, and he's kind of like really stretching it out. Well, in the meantime, eventually, thankfully, Burton shows up and he gets on stage and he grabs the microphone. And he was so pissed off, and he was blaming, because they were down, it was their first date down in the States. So he was blaming the Americans for his failure. But he wasn't going to blame any American. He was going to blame an American woman. American woman, gonna mess your mind. And the whole song, like, it was created that night. That's true story. That was an amazing creation of a song with a purpose at the right time and the right place. That was very cool. Anyway, so that's the story behind that. In case anybody turns around and says, what do you mean you're saying everything was created on the acoustic guitar? Not everything. I'm just saying most songs are. Sometimes there's a few. And by the way, I thought of one other thing. Just sorry to keep you here, but I'm going to have to go in and research this. Who came out first with the dual version of a song? There was this one. There was like the acoustic version of American Woman versus the rock version. And then there was the acoustic version of the rock version of Revolution by the Beatles. You know, they had the big hit with the really screaming version. And then on the White Album, they put out the song acoustically. So I'm just wondering who did that first. And was there any other bands that did stuff like that earlier than them? It's not a lot, I'm sure.